This is the terrible Ralph Breaks the Internet, the sequel to one of my favorite Disney animation movies. No offense to them, but it's so good that I legitimately keep thinking it's a DreamWorks movie. Thankfully for me, I have this awful sequel to remind me that no, it is very much a Disney property, and they cram it in your face. Cause this may well be the most hideous display of, look at the IP we own, they've ever done. And that's not even my biggest issue with this movie, nor is the fact that it is a 2010s coded social media relatable mess that spreads all the way to its title too. No, it is fundamentally a betrayal of what made the original so great. On so many levels, this movie just falls apart. And today we'll be looking at why that is. So we begin simple enough, Ralph and Vanellope having a beigely amusing chat about Pac-Man whilst the ghost hover by. Fine, first movie vibes are happening. Though quite quickly, the hashtag relatable dialogue is gonna start making itself known.
Mind is blown.
Followed by a burping contest. Not my favorite kind of humor, but hey, I gave Shrek a free pass. Actually, am I the only one who sees some overlap between Shrek and Ralph? Ralph is to video games what Shrek is to fairy tales. Anyway, them playing in Tron is actually pretty cool, though perhaps the first tease of showboating Disney IP to this movie. And then the meta plotline begins.
Like, doesn't the very nature of our existence make you wonder if there's more to life than this?
Honestly, right now, I kinda wish I was just a fun video game character with no awareness of the outside world. However, then the big plot gets literally plugged in.
Whiffy? Wifey?
Yep, here we go. It's the internet. With a cheeky Sonic cameo speeding in to give the exposition.
And Wi-Fi is the internet.
And not for the last time in a Disney movie, though he's not so good looking in Rescue Rangers, admittedly.
Ugly Sonic, uglier crimes.
Honestly though, I can see why this was the starting point for the movie. Introducing the online world to this video game universe does make total sense, especially because online capabilities do directly tie into the video game landscape. And it's like the core idea of this development completely warrants a sequel for this world. It's just a shame about what they did with it, particularly when it comes to the Ralph character and just the universe. They emoji movied it. Though on introduction, I was actually quite hopeful at this point of the movie. They seemed to capture the humor well, at least.
The internet is nothing to laugh at. It is new, it is different, and therefore we should fear it.
To be honest, I'm not sure if this sentiment's wrong anymore. Is Wreck-It Ralph 3 gonna be about Ralph becoming an AI interface? You think they'll make a Wreck-It Ralph 3? Meanwhile, it's clear that Vanellope has now gotten bored of the first movie's resolution and wants to find new horizons.
But don't you ever wish something new and different would happen in your game?
Wasn't the first movie all about her entire game's world being turned upside down after she'd been gaslit into thinking she was a glitch? God, did she just crave dopamine? I mean, I guess she is in the sugar kingdom, so I guess addiction makes sense. So I guess she would always be looking for that sugar high, that adrenaline rush. And this is when we get a sense of what they're doing with Ralph, turning the unlikely friendship from the first movie into a codependent relationship vibe. Gross.
I don't want to disagree.
It's a fancy way to say we don't have to argue about it.
We're arguing?
Because yes, before our very eyes, we're going to see the devolution of Ralph's character into insecure man-child. Strip him away of all of the character and the nuance of that first movie, and just turn him into this argumentative person. Whatever the hell this is. Because Ralph doesn't just come across as needy in this movie, he is truly toxic at points. It's just weird. Starting with trying to keep her content with how things are by carving a new track, ultimately breaking her game.
Kid! Oh, kid, I'm so sorry. Are you okay?
Leading to the big dilemma, the owner unplugging the game. I mean, we need some reason to go to the internet, don't we? Whole bunch of characters homeless, and it's all because Ralph got insecure and can't leave his friend alone.
I think maybe I just need to be alone right now.
Meanwhile, we need Felix and Space Soldier Lady to have something to do whilst Ralph and Vanellope go and do the actual plot. So they volunteer to adopt a bunch of the racing kids.
I know we've never once talked about having a family.
Feels like the kind of thing you just jump into.
There we go, loose subplot we won't really visit often. All the while, needy Ralph here twiddles his thumbs like a friend addict in the bar.
I haven't seen Vanellope since the last time, 30 seconds ago.
Yeesh. Yeah, it's a weird feeling emotional arc on this one. And then Felix joins him, already regretting a decision that was totally on himself that he absolutely didn't have to make.
Now I'm a father of 15. Feels like the kind of thing you just jump into.
Huh, I'm sensing a theme here. It's also here that Ralph makes the plan to go on a mission to eBay to get the new steering wheel. The IP drops begin, but at least eBay feels like a natural fit here. They could have well made a fictional version of eBay, but sure, we've had other IPs in these movies before. Also, I know it's a gag, but why does Ralph do this?
Drinks out of the house, everybody. Felix is paying.
Like, what a crappy thing to do. Why did he even do that?
We're going to the internet.
And so off they go, and the portal bit through the wires a pretty cool looking sequence. But then the logos appear. Right off the bat, Amazon and Snapchat are right there as big corporate chunks. Does anyone use Snapchat anymore? Probably. I'm just old. Even IMDb gets a cameo, which maybe is why this movie has a merciful 7 out of 10 on there. There are some creative concepts in between the commas though, such as the buffering wheel being the traffic lights, and of course the search bar. The movie as a whole may not work, but I will give them praise to some of these individual gags and details.
I'm sorry, but my autofill is a touch aggressive today.
Twitter birds flying about too. Ah, yes. That's what happens when you create an iconic brand so well established that words associated with it are in the dictionary. Honestly, you'd have to be an idiot to dismantle branding as strong as that. Also, just a sign of how dated your movie gets when you literally plug it into current pop culture. Like, at least the first movie consciously dated itself around a retro arcade. That makes it timeless. Anyway, on to a less creative brand drop with this lame gag.
Guess we know where to go if we ever need a pair of goggles.
You get it? He misread Google as goggle. It's 2003 again. When was Google established? Google search was established September 4th, 1992? That was my 2-year-old birthday. Oh, cool. Honestly, it's weird as well that Google exists here when they've just done a separate bit on search bars. Either have Google be in that bit or not at all, you know? Just having it as lifeless and not the thing it's actually most known for just says everything you need to know. Like, sure, Google is a corporation that has mail and folders and documents and spreadsheets and everything under the sun, but it's not, you know, there's a disconnect on what the audience is going to perceive as what Google is. Probably the verb that got put in the dictionary for its influence.
Sassy housewives want to meet you.
They do.
I wonder how eBay felt about pop-up ads turning up in front of them in this movie. I do like the actual auctioneers hosting the eBay bidding though. That's a nice touch. That's a nice adaptation, you know? There's an extra lens to it. A slight, I don't know, twist on the formula. Rather than point, look, there's the logo. You've adapted it into something. It's almost like they made this movie as they had some great gag ideas, but no actual movie to stitch them together. Did they just get the Family Guy writers for this movie? No, but they got one of the former Simpsons writers to do it, so close enough. Huh.
What do I hear, 350?
1,000!
Also kind of fun that they bid without having any idea what's going on. Welcome to finance, guys. It's one instance of them actually acting like their old selves in this movie.
How exactly do you intend to pay for this item, sir? You owe $27,001.
And so they have 24 hours to find the money. It's that cliche of a plotline. Cue the of its time cameo.
The internet?
Fun. Vanellope has a semi-emotional moment about losing her game, but it's clear here that the plot is far inferior to that of the first movie. Whereas the first movie has a plot intrinsically tied to the main character's arcs, here you can see it's the sequel beeline of a dilemma that's been added on. Sure, it's Ralph's emotional arc that caused the whole problem, but they never really link up that fact to the central plot. Anyway, with the reintroduction of JP Spamily, I knew he'd be more of a cameo once I heard Bill Hader's voice coming out of him. A nice detail with his dodgy pop-up business is that he's based on the lower, shadier levels of the internet. And so Ralph and Vanellope enter Grand Theft Auto, I guess.
This game is kind of amazing.
Well, don't expect another one for a while, Vanellope. And then we meet the evil queen herself, Gal Gadot.
Well, well, well. While the cat was away, these mice tried to play.
As poorly delivered as it was written. Yeah, a great vocal performance. This is not.
Of course, I have empathy for players like Dirty Socks 537 and Abraham Lincoln.
Like, how do you manage to not make those names funny? At least the real evil queen is entertainingly bad, but here it's just stone cold boredom. But sure, let's have Vanellope pining after this character for the rest of the movie. I honestly can't tell you anything about this conversation they have to flesh out these side characters here. I tune out on cue. Let's just get to them taking the car immediately and have the chase. because it's some of the better character work in the movie.
There is no track. I can drive anywhere.
Like, they do an awful job with Ralph as we go on, but at least here you can immediately get why Vanellope likes it in this game.
This girl can drive.
It's a great action sequence justifying the world expansion, with character work too? Where's this in the rest of the movie? Because yes, it's short-lived as we get to the movie's namesake as Shanks' team helps by turning Ralph into a viral star, as well as a fictional version of YouTube, despite referencing other real-life sites.
Everybody knows BuzzTube is the video sharing site.
Presumably a combination of BuzzFeed and YouTube, two completely different things, but oh well, who needs consistency? Probably would have called it U-Talk nowadays or something.
I'm gonna wreck it!
All right.
And just to note, that girl's holding the phone the wrong way for a viral video. Get that phone vertical, my guy. This should be known by the end of 2018. Also, this sounds flirtier than maybe it should.
If you ever want to come back for a rematch, I'd be happy to kick your butt again.
And here we go. It's almost time for Ralph to go full insecure prime on us. Refusing to take Vanellope's new friend's advice, I can see that as a plausible point of tension. It's more when it comes to his unwillingness to be apart from her here, where it gets odd. Yet, even here we see his character become more sulky and childish. Like in the first movie, he was absolutely still an immature and childlike character. However, there was a level of innocence to those qualities, rather than the more toxic angles we get here. For now though, the disagreement ends and Ralph goes viral, as any terrible internet movie is required to do, complete with influencer boss character and more now dated internet references.
Chewbacca dead? Really?
Yeah.
Once again, a by-concept dated sequel to a timeless original movie. And we see yet more childishness from Ralph.
Shank is for real cool.
She is not. I'm the cool one getting all the hearts.
Like, that's the dialogue we're giving him now? We're just gonna make him an insecure version of Patrick Star? Because we all know Patrick's fully secure in himself, can't diss the guy. I get it though, as he learns the hard truth of YouTube revenue.
That's $43.
43?
Yep, by my calculation, you need about 6 million views, not YouTube short views by the way, in order to make back $27,001. Also, here comes a trend that Thor Love and Thunder, Moana 2, and Kung Fu Panda 4 still don't understand stopped years ago.
Oh, screaming goats are back.
Like, even this 2018 movie was pretty late to the party by like 5 years. And so, Ralph engages himself in what we'd come to know as brain rot.
Nobody knows who's making them.
In what is essentially the fun Disney version of covert AI-generated content. And also we get a writer's room interpretation of what a viral video is.
I'm watching the one where he just smacks his lips.
And you're having a laugh if you think we got this one AI-free.
Shifted into a floss?
And the funny thing is, I don't think any of these videos would actually do that well. They're meant to be the funniest thing ever, but... And despite his success, we still have Ralph's Codependence arc to continue with.
Thank you.
Well, if you're going, I want to go.
We're now at the point that they really go into it, and it just reads weird that he's insistent that they are constantly together. Like what, he can't spend 5 minutes without her now?
One cannot exist without the other. Go on, kid, tell her.
Funny, I'm pretty sure you spend full days without each other when you're doing a normal day in the arcades. Maybe if they'd lent more into an overprotective father figure who, in this scene, would be worried about her going out into the internet by herself, there's something to run with there. You could even add an extra layer of, like, the stranger danger of the internet, some sort of parenting spin on it all. Although, ironically, if you were to do that, I'd want you to do it the other way around. Vanellope trying to be protective of a very naive Ralph going out into one, trying not to break anything, you know? There's something thematically you can tie to the characters of the original. However, his neediness and childish demeanor pulls us significantly far away from any of that.
Oh, and you're some mature adult.
I swear he wasn't this much of a man-child the first time round. You can tell they had to develop a new thing for him as his arc has been resolved the first time round. And so now a large adult man character insecure about a small child character not being around him was their solution. You know, it's a dynamic that never seemed weird in the first movie, but now here we are. And if that wasn't enough to roll your eyes at, it's time for the brand self-indulgence.
I'll redirect our newest pop-up to ohmydisney.com.
Even just hearing the word Disney in a Disney movie feels gross. It makes Wish look tasteful, which says a lot. Like, this is clearly the most egregious corporate display I've ever seen in a movie. Also, after all these major sites and social media companies in there, apparently ohmydisney.com is a website on the same level as the rest. I'm sure they'd use Disney Plus now, like they did in She-Hulk, in case you wanted reminding of that choice of events, which would have at least had more sway as a popular site everyone uses. Oh My Disney really needs to be shooed in here to justify the display of Disney IP. Like every other site in this movie, you can at least understand its function in the internet being represented. I have no idea what Oh My Disney is after seeing this movie. The crowds are cheering at the characters? What, that's in the real world? Like a webpage with their character bio? Oh, sorry, there is a which Disney princess is your BFF quiz.
I do believe our friendship will be the fairest of them all.
How many times has Disney pulled from Snow White at this point? I know it's your oldest movie, but leave it alone, guys. I've just never seen a company bump their own website in their own movie like this. Other than loosely the princess scene that everyone talks about, it doesn't even really serve a concrete narrative function. It's a pure excuse for Disney cameos. The Groot bit is just continuing the joke from the actual movies he's from, plus who are these users?
What is Drax really like?
The stormtroopers essentially being security is alarming considering their fascist origins, and seeing them talk to Grumpy is just weird. There's some good gags at least in the princess bit, but man, they had to do a lot to eventually justify this situation happening. It's all meant to play off as if it's some kind of virtual convention event, but it just gets so tacky.
Poison? Cursed? Kidnapped or enslaved? Hey, should I call the police?
It's also just a pause in the movie to just run through a load of self-aware jokes about movies that have nothing to do with this one.
Hey, she back me, Lassie! She's from the other studio.
Hey there, you made it to the halfway mark of this video. Come subscribe if you haven't already. Alright, cheers.
Hey, she back me, Lassie! She's from the other studio.
You should have gotten Leia in there too. You know, that would have been a nice tribute. Actually, maybe not. That probably would have just read as gross as the rest of this scene. There's also an uncanny quality to the princess character designs. Like, clearly, as fun as it would have been to keep the OG princess's hand drawn, they were gonna have to tinker the character designs a little bit to put them to 3D. However, under the logic that this is the Oh My Disney version of the characters, they add a sort of cutesy look to the already 3D characters, where Anna basically looks the same, but Moana looks like a completely different character entirely. Like, that's not her face. The only thing I do enjoy about this scene is the Batman and Robin transition with the castle logo. Yet still, it just ties into this whole scene being an excuse for Disney princess gags, which otherwise have nothing to do with the Wreck-It Ralph franchise. It makes me wish the sequel stuck to online multiplayer games or something, you know, video games. What this franchise is supposed to be about. A princess movie sounds fun if you make it its own, you know, separate the damn thing. Like, I don't even hate a collab princess movie idea. You know, I bet they sold the princesses in casual wear after this movie too. Yep, just looked it up. They absolutely did release those as toys. They genuinely used a movie that had nothing to do with the Disney princesses beyond the corporation that owns them to launch a toy line. That's genuinely what happened. Gone are the days of movie video games. Where is my Ralph Breaks the Internet video game?
I once had a dream that I might wear a shirt. What's going on?
Anyway, after this 5-minute advert that undoubtedly led to unboxing videos, Ralph is doing an unboxing video.
Let's see what we got here. Let's open it up.
Opening up to bees, because apparently, comedy. The third act reveals its running out of time plot in the most convincing framing possible.
The file's not loading. If this doesn't load, we're not gonna make it.
So you're telling me that the main interface for BuzzTube can't upload a file, and that's what launches us into the third act stakes? I'd get it if an actual human was uploading it, but they're already in the internet. If it was just a gag for a minor hurdle, maybe I'd buy it more, but seems pretty contrived for your big third act problem. More convincingly, the thing that becomes the turning point for Ralph is the comment section.
Ralph's videos stink. What?
Well, that could have been worse. But yes, Ralph sees the ugly side of people being able to say what they want with a certain degree of anonymity and goes turbo. Good job he didn't check in on what those birds were tweeting earlier.
People hated me my whole life for being a bad guy. Good reminder that this is the only heart that really matters.
And it's with this they try and relight his internal conflict from the first movie before using that to propel his just me and Vanellope arc in this one.
And as long as she likes me, I don't need anybody else.
Oh dear. In case it wasn't already obvious, not a huge fan of the direction of this character. Turning his found friendship from the first movie into a needy codependence in this one just seems like a betrayal, really. Sure, it makes him flawed, but this all that matters is us and no one else arc is just weird and not what this dynamic was at all. And we're still not at the peak of it. As they find out they've made enough money, congrats on the 8 million views by the way, Vanellope discovers her princess song via realizing that she doesn't want things to go back to normal. A sentiment that I'm sure is shared by the hundreds of currently homeless characters from her video game.
Am I a baby pigeon sprouting wings to soar? Was that a metaphor?
Which is a cool enough sequence, essentially giving us a Grand Theft Auto Disney princess song. I soon realized why it was of uncharacteristically good quality as well. It was written by Disney legend Alan Menken. You know, the guy behind the songs for Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast. They got him back for this song, only to lead us into this unfortunate situation.
Hey, can I tell you something that I don't think I could ever tell Ralph?
Here we go.
The second I walked into this game, it felt like home.
So basically, take the game context out of it, Vanellope wants to be a criminal. Also, whilst it's a better character arc than Ralph's, you do look back at all the turmoil from the first movie to restore her as the true princess in Sugar Rush and have accepted her on the track again and think, well, that didn't last long, did it? Seems that she wants to pull a Harry and Meghan on this gig here. And there is a good message in there about best friends not having to do the same thing and being attached at the hip, but it's just, in this movie, it's shown horribly. Because yes, it's time for the bit where Ralph gets a virus to ruin Vanellope's game, and a bunch of characters' homes.
You know about viruses and stuff, right, Spamly?
Who's asking?
And there's no Turbo to blame for manipulating the situation this time. This is all Ralph being a really selfish, horrible character. Like the spam guy here helps, but it's completely Ralph's unprovoked idea. Destroying a whole game so his friend hangs out with him. Imagine making a whole movie about a game villain wanting to be more than the bad guy, only to actually make him the bad guy in the sequel. I'm sure they thought that was a clever play on it, but it's not. I think it's just misunderstanding the character. You just undid the character. That's all that's happened here. I can't even enjoy the awesome design of the darknet alleyway here. The character direction's such a letdown. Because otherwise, this is a wonderfully unsettling scene. The design of Double Dan and his shop capturing the seediness of the darknet and viruses perfectly. The fact that he's completely flesh-colored as well, and does his head look like anything else to you? I mean, if it does resemble what I think it does fit the aesthetic.
Arthur's what I call an insecurity virus. He looks for little flaws and weaknesses that make a program insecure.
Subtle. As is the mentioning of make sure it doesn't get out of slaughter race. I'm sure this will go fine. Meanwhile, Vanellope is about to start her first game, having not told Ralph, which seems like a mistake. In fact, we've seen it's a mistake, but that's mainly on him. And just to really rub it in, Vanellope's glitch is what the virus uses in the game. Finally, some logic I can get behind.
The game's crashing, let's go!
I think it's my glitch!
Thankfully, Ralph is there to have a hero moment in the face of the issue that's totally his fault, leaving a hole open in the game so the climax can happen. They even squeeze in a fake death scene, and we're not even at the end. Of course this movie does that.
Come on, don't leave me, kid.
Not to worry, she wakes up, thinks everything's her fault, before Ralph comes clean.
Might kinda, sorta put a harmless little virus in the game.
And to be fair, he's put to accountability for this. They don't exactly avoid how bad it is. It's just, Ralph goes back to childish tantrum instead of accepting that accountability.
I wouldn't have done anything if I hadn't heard you tell Shank that you wanted to live in slaughter race forever.
Lovely guy. But hey, they needed him to turn into this for the finale to make sense. Because yes, Ralph becomes what the virus copies to destroy the internet, in which we see this toxicity almost literally balloon to gross proportions. Funny, we ended the last movie with him learning to become more secure in himself, but never mind. Who needs development when you can have a Vanellope-obsessed Godzilla to fight? In which we see Amazons seemingly consenting to a scene where they're intercepted by a virus. And all these Ralph viruses are after Vanellope. And so we have a whole climax of this little girl being chased down by a legion of large adult men. It's a lot to unpack for the kids in the audience too, so it seems time to head back to the character that best lends itself to exposition.
Insecurity virus cloned all of your needy, clingy, self-destructive behavior. The very behavior which left unchecked can destroy friendships
and they try to frame it as though he also deserves some grace, as he did do all of that stuff to save her game as well, but I think even then he started half doing it to get her away from Slaughter Race 2, so not sure that fully forgives things. But put a pin in that, here's the Flesh Ralph Godzilla.
That is unsettling.
And then Vanellope finds herself in the love interest from King Kong position. But it's fine, they're saying friend, it's not weird. The Empire State Building of choice being the Google Tower.
I got you, sister!
There we are, a line just to reaffirm the intended dynamic here. Prob's a late note saying, we've got to make this feel a little less creepy from higher up. Particularly with this next bit.
Just me and you. That's what you want, right?
Yikes. With the crescendo being Ralph talking himself from the Vanellope addiction.
You need to let her go.
And that saves the day. It's yet another bad version of the Lego Movie climax. I know Lego Movie wasn't the first movie to do it, but by most estimations, it's one of the only movies to have done it well. And while I guess there's some praises to be made that all this behavior was built up in order to attack it head on by the end, something about the delivery or the setup or the execution just doesn't work in a way that just makes it underwhelming and so overshadowed by all the corporate stuff as well. It's a nice idea, but a couple of lines doesn't turn around the public opinion on your main protagonist character. But we can't end it just like that without Ralph almost dying, and we can't fake death Vanellope again, so I guess it's time to drop the guy from the sky. That'll finish off his character redemption. Thankfully, the Disney Princess brand just happens to be walking around, and Moana is the one to save the day, and it's not even her movie. Well, it's more of a Princess Avengers situation, but in my humble opinion, Moana could have dealt with that single-handedly. Though very handy that water was available in the internet. They have to work very hard to justify the others, outside of Moana, Elsa, and Ariel too. The others just kind of make a parachute, with Mulan slicing Snow White's apple. Doing something, I guess. And just to put a final point on the commercial twang of this movie, they finish off the climax with a princess superhero-style crossover for sheer fan service. Again, I know the internet is the setting here, but it's just weird that Ralph Breaks the Internet of all movies was what gave us this moment. It's a nice fan servicey moment, whilst not totally earned. Capped off with the frog kissing Ralph, because why not? Really, Ralph was meant to turn into a frog at that point, but I guess we can't have everything. And so, all is resolved and it's time for the farewells. Ralph learning that having a little girl as a friend isn't his entire life.
Now we can both have a half. See?
It's a touching final scene, but I just can't buy into the rest of the movie to feel the true impact of it. The whole thing has just felt as commercial as it felt self-indulgent. If they'd taken more of a lead from Slaughter Race and BuzzTube and had all the brands be fictional, maybe they would have been allowed more creativity. Because otherwise, it just feels like each company bought a sponsorship spot in this movie. It's different to the video game cameos in the first movie. Those cameos had a natural fit, and they were actual characters rather than just a logo at the top of a building. And as the movie closes, we touch base with the character we just kind of forgot about for the rest of the movie. Yes, Fix-It Felix and the parenting arc. Looks like it went well in the end. We wrap up with the new status quo. Ralph's just sort of fine in an ambiguous sense. And that's it. That's Ralph Breaks the Internet.
You doing okay there, Ralph?
I'm doing great.
A pale, branded imitation of the first movie where you have a lovable protagonist that descends into some pretty toxic behavior. And this movie had a lot of potential. Introducing the internet to this franchise made sense as the next logical step, and plotlines like the shady darknet and the search bar shows that there were some creative ideas in here. It's just then lost in the sea of the whole "oh my Disney" tangent, which really sticks out amongst the other brands like a sore castle. Like, no one goes, oh yeah, you've got eBay, Amazon, Snapchat, Google, oh my Disney. But that's not the main issue here. It's just simply a central story and conflict that did not live up to the first movie, which fundamentally shifted the character into something he previously wasn't. Even if the world and plotline had followed something more video game centric, how video games interact with the online world in a more direct way, perhaps it never would have really been enough, because the real issue at the center of this story is the characters and the catastrophic way their arcs just plummet off a cliff. And that was Disney's terrible Ralph Breaks the Internet. Forgotten as an element of his time, since it did choose to attach so close to the hip to 2018 pop culture anyway. For now though, I'd best end it off there. My name's been Daz. Thank you very much for reaching the end of this terrible episode. Do tell me your thoughts on Ralph Breaks the Internet. How would you tweak this sequel to make it passable? Or hey, maybe you think I was too harsh. I'd love to hear all your thoughts and more, and I shall see you all in a little bit. Cheerio!